What are you waiting for?
I Know What You Did Last Summer, the fourth entry in this film franchise that actually ignores the third film, and if you ask me, outdoes the original movie in terms of kills. Now, huge spoiler warning, if you have not seen this movie yet, this video is going to spoil the living crap out of this movie. Now, when we get to the last kill, we're definitely going to talk about that twist ending, right? I have a lot of mixed feelings about it. For death totals, we've got 1 woman, 8 men, including 1 bisexual true crime podcaster, 1 ghost cameo. Let's get into this thing. Welcome back to the Act of Violence channel. My name is Alec. Let's get right into ranking these kills. So here we are. I have everything in order. Some of these had to be substitute pictures because I couldn't find images of the characters in the movie, or straight up just couldn't find anything that was useful. So the first kill of the movie is going to be a character we come to know as Sam Cooper. Now, near the ending of the movie, when we find out that Stevie is the killer, we also find out she was in love with Sam Cooper and was seeing him at the time. Didn't know it was him that crashed because he wasn't using his car. She found out later, and as we now know, teamed up with Ray Bronson from the original 2 films. We'll get to my thoughts on that. Although during this scene, there is a really good reference to the whole Nicole Kidman AMC the old theater intro, So it does have that going for it. Overall, this is probably the least interesting kill in the movie, right? This is just the one that sets up the movie, and that's why I'm going to throw it in the B tier. And that's just because it's necessary to happen in the movie. And I like how they did a little bit different from the first movie. They didn't actually hit someone, they caused someone to have an accident. It seems a little more innocent causing someone to have an accident than actually hitting someone. Now, I'm not saying it necessarily is, it just kind of feels like it is. But other than that, we don't know too much about Cooper, so we'll move on to the next death, which is one that we get to see in the trailer. This is the character of Wyatt. So, a year later, after Sam Cooper was killed, Danica is having her little bridal shower. And if you are watching this, you're probably assuming, it's her and Teddy's. Although we quickly find out it's her and some new guy named Wyatt. Within a year, she broke off her engagement with Teddy and is now engaged to Wyatt. And Wyatt's death, like I said, was in the trailers. It's this harpoon death. And I actually really like this one. Seeing this one in the trailer actually gave me hope for this movie because it was nothing like the kills in the first movie. It was actually impressive. Now, I love the first movie. The kills are the worst part about it. And I mean, there's a cheesy line or two here and there for sure, but this guy gets harpooned and hooked, and basically his blood is used to write a message on the wall: you can't erase the past. Now, for me, this had me excited for this movie, and I had a really good time with this death. The only thing I will note is that, this seems like sort of an innocent character, like Max from the first movie. He didn't necessarily do anything wrong. He wasn't there. Now, the second movie was a little more willy-nilly and willing to kill just a bunch of people hanging around. And it seems like this one is too, so bummer, but Wyatt is dead, and he's going to the S tier because that was a sick death. Let's not lie here. Next up, the third death is going to be Tyler, the only woman to die on screen in this movie. Now, there is hints at Ava's mother's death before the events of the film, but we're not including that, obviously. When we first see Tyler, she is basically hooking up with Ava in a airport bathroom, having just met on the plane. And I can't tell if, at this point, Ava has reconnected with Milo or not. I don't know if they are actually in, like, an actual committed relationship or anything. So it's not entirely clear if she's, like, Ava's cheating on Milo in this scene or not, but drama. Anyway, Tyler is this true crime horror podcast girl. Her death is definitely more reminiscent of the first movie. It is nothing that goes out of its way to be super impressive. It's a little horrifying, but it's again, this is a little toned down compared to some of the deaths in the movie, which we'll get to, that I think absolutely are amazing. So we're going to throw Tyler in the B tier. Nothing to write home about there. Interesting character to include in the movie, though. I understand it's a real thing, true crime horror podcasters, but Halloween 2018 did it, Chucky, the TV series, did it, and Now I Know What You Did Last Summer has done it. Not only are they involved, but they're heavily involved and sometimes killed. Next up, the fourth death of the movie is the cemetery groundskeeper, which is a pretty quick death. Character doesn't have a lot of screen time or anything. I don't even know if they have any lines. but they do get their throat slashed with a hook, of course. A little weak. I'm going to throw it in the C tier, and that's just because we don't know this character. It's just kind of there to help rack up the body count, you know what I mean? There's not a lot of story or even much to talk about in regards to this death, so we'll just move on to the next one. Milo, our first of the core group to meet his end. Milo is strangled to death with a rope. Actually, a pretty horrifying scene. This guy goes through it, and they later find his body in the back of the car, like all cold and blue, and it's just as horrifying because Danica had just found out that Teddy was dead, which we'll get to in a moment. And again, it's unclear if they're actually dating at this point or not, but they almost hooked up before he went outside here, so who knows. I think his death is actually going to go in A or B. We're going to throw it in the B tier. It's right on par with Tyler's there for sure. It doesn't do much for me. I think the reaction of finding his body is actually stronger than his actual death, so. And next up we've got Teddy, which is Danica's ex, her original boyfriend. And what's really cool about this guy is his death. Basically, he's being used to lure out his dad, who was also killed, which we'll get to in a second. So when they find Teddy and his father strung up on the dock, like the shark in Jaws, it's just a very cool little homage there, a little reference. And it's pretty horrifying. I like it. Not only did we get to see them actually die, but then we get to see this scene. Sometimes, like, this is all you'd get, you know what I mean? You wouldn't see the actual struggle that they went through when they were killed. There's some inventive stuff and, like, bending of horror tropes in this that was really fun. I appreciated it. Teddy's, because it was so gruesome and brutal and that Jaws reference, it's going to go in the A tier. Now his father, right? He's at least going to go in the A tier, right? Because he had a similar death and he had the Jaws thing going on. But one thing he also had going on was that slow hook pushed through his neck. My God, was that an awesome and just, horrifying kill to watch on screen. And this character is relevant because he's kind of the only character outside of the original core people that knows what happened that weekend. He's Teddy's father, and he helped him cover it up. He's the chief of police. He can do anything he wants. Now, I honestly almost would have included a line like that, and this would have been funny to me, but hey, maybe that would have been too over the top. But because of that slow hook, he's going to bump up into the S tier as well. Really liked that death. God, just thinking about that slow hook in the neck, man. That was a good one. Next up, we've got Pastor Judah. Now, this character heavily leans into the whodunit aspect of this movie, which I'll say is a big part in mostly like Scream, and obviously I Know What You Did Last Summer. And mostly it's the first I Know What You Did Last Summer, because the second one is kind of like, all right, we know kind of what's happening here. I mean, they had to add a twist ending and sort of changed it up a little bit, but you know what I mean? And the third one, don't even get me started. But eventually he's found impaled with a harpoon. His eyes are gouged out, and he's sort of in a praying pose, you know. Actually pretty horrifying, mortifying, awesome. But we don't get to see it all go down, so we're going to throw it in the B tier. It's kind of like, if I had seen what happened to this guy in his struggle, maybe it would have gone in a higher tier. But that actor's actually from Walking Dead. I think he was around like season 6 or something. I'm not entirely sure. He died in that too. And lastly, we have the character of Ray Bronson. Now, we have to talk about this spoiler ending to talk about this kill, right? So they had to bring back Freddie Prinze Jr., they had to bring back Jennifer Love Hewitt. We saw all these articles about how, they were going to possibly bring back Sarah Michelle Gellar. They asked her about it, and she said no because her character's dead, you know. And then what do you know? We see a surprise cameo from Sarah Michelle Gellar as a ghost Helen in basically a Nightmare on Elm Street scene, which to me was the only like out-of-place scene in the movie, and it's only there to serve a purpose of a cameo. And I get it, you want to kind of include as many original actors as you could, but like, I don't know. And I like Sarah Michelle Gellar, so it's not like I'm like, oh man, don't put her in the movie. It's just like, yeah, she's dead, and this is just shoehorned in, but whatever. So essentially we have that reveal that Stevie was dating the person they killed, right? And we have Ray come aboard the ship and seemingly shoot Stevie, who dies, right? Dies. Doesn't actually die, as we find out. But then everything seems like the movie's going to end and it's coming to a natural conclusion until it doesn't. Julie sees a news story and starts to piece things together, eventually heads down to Ray's bar, where Ray is already trying to kill Ava because she's found out also that he's the killer. He admits to teaming up with Stevie and that she's still alive, and proceeds to get killed by Ava with a harpoon gun. This was a wild, wild choice. And I still don't know if I love it or hate it. On one hand, it plays great homage to the first movie, because the first movie, you don't know until the end of that movie who that killer is, and some people, and that movie relies heavily on that, in that final climax scene where Julie still thinks Ray might be the killer. It leans on that and straight up just makes him the killer. Now, this is something that even Scream fans talked about, like, what if you just made, like, Neve Campbell the killer in the next movie? Like, Sydney is the killer. And it's wild to see it actually play out in a movie. Not that these movies were ever taken, you know, very seriously or anything. I think the first one is, you know, the one that you can take most seriously, but the other two were goofy as hell. So there is actually a mid-credit scene as well with a cameo from Brandy, who played Carla in I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Julie comes to see her, and they basically hint at, we're gonna have to fuck some more people up, it's happening again. Which kind of mirrors the characters of Ava and Danica having a discussion about how Stevie is still alive, and they might have to hunt her down and kill her. So we could have a very interesting and weird movie if they choose to continue this on. And to be honest, I hope they do. Now, besides this video, I do have a video coming where I'm going to be ranking all of the films, so keep an eye out for that. Ray Bronson, the final kill, we're going to throw in the B tier, along with these. It's very mid. The shock that he is the killer, which a lot of people did see coming, I genuinely don't know how to feel about still. At this point, I'm confused. I loved the movie other than that. I had zero expectations. The line about men needing therapy at the end of the movie has already pissed off a lot of people in the comment section of my review, so I appreciate that. Let me know what you guys thought of that twist ending. What do you think of Ray being the killer? Is that ridiculous? And also, what do you think of these kills, especially compared to the first film? And if you like this video, be sure to check out this one and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.